The fluorescent lights of Latte department store's luxury wing buzzed with sterile brightness that made 9 hours in heels feel like torture. Angela Morrison's feet screamed in protest as she polished the Cartier display for the third time that day, her name tag catching the light. Angela, luxury sales consultant. Just 30 more minutes until she could escape to her tiny Itaewon apartment. Excuse me, I need help. The voice was deep, accented, carrying an authority that made her spine straighten instinctively. Angela turned and felt her breath catch. The man before her looked like Sin wrapped in Tom Ford. Tall, sharp jawline, dark eyes that calculated everything in seconds. But it was the ink crawling up from his collar that made her pause, intricate dragons and Korean characters disappearing under his expensive black suit. In conservative Seoul, visible tattoos like that meant one thing, Yakuza. Of course, sir. How can I help you today? I need a gift. For a woman. Important woman. His discomfort was obvious. I don't know women things. Despite the warning bells, Angela smiled. Dangerous-looking man, completely lost in a jewelry store. What's the occasion? Her birthday. She's my younger sister. She's been through a lot. She deserves something that shows I pay attention. 20 minutes later, Angela had guided him through the displays with practiced patience. She noticed how he rejected anything flashy, how his scarred knuckles touched each piece with surprising gentleness. This one, Angela said, pulling out a delicate white gold bracelet with a cherry blossom charm. In Korean culture, cherry blossoms represent new beginnings and resilience. Beautiful but strong, they survive harsh winters to bloom again. Something flickered across his face. That's perfect. How did you know? Lucky guess. As she wrapped the gift, her coworker Soyeon rushed past and froze, face pale. She grabbed Angela's arm with trembling fingers. Do you know who that is? Soyeon whispered urgently. That's Park Lee. He owns half of Gangnam. The illegal half. Angela, I'm finished, Angela interrupted, returning to the counter with her heart pounding. Park Lee took the box, their fingers brushing. How much? 2,847,000 Korean wons, sir. He pulled out a black card without blinking. As the transaction processed, his phone buzzed. Angela watched his entire demeanor shift, from uncomfortable shopper to something cold and lethal. I have to go, he said abruptly. But then he paused, studying her name tag. Angela. American? Yes, sir. From Chicago. Been in Seoul for 2 years. You're Korean? Getting better. The grandmothers at my market are patient teachers. For the first time, his lips curved into something like a smile. Thank you. You showed kindness to a stranger. In my experience, that's rare. He left, and Angela released a breath she didn't know she'd been holding. What she didn't see was Park Lee pausing outside, looking back at the woman who'd treated him like a regular person for the first time in years. What she didn't hear was his phone call in rapid Korean. Find out everything about the American girl at the Cartier counter. Name is Angela. And make sure no one bothers her. What she didn't know was that her simple act of kindness had just captured the attention of Seoul's most dangerous man. Some encounters change everything. This one was about to turn 2 lives upside down. He came back. Angela looked up to find Soyeon staring toward the entrance, like she'd seen a ghost. Who came back? Park Lee. Asking for you. By name. It had been exactly 1 day. 1 day of trying to convince herself Soyeon was exaggerating. But the way every employee suddenly disappeared told Angela everything. He stood by the entrance in a different suit, more tattoos visible now, creeping up his neck in delicate patterns. In the harsh lighting, he looked even more dangerous. And devastatingly beautiful. Mr. Park, Angela said, approaching with her professional smile. Was there an issue with your purchase? No issue. She loved it. You were right about the meaning. His dark eyes held hers. Have dinner with me. Around them, Angela felt eyes watching, coworkers shocked. Sir, I don't date customers. Not a date. A thank you. You treated me like a person, not what people think I am. I don't know what people think you are. His laugh was bitter. Liar. Your coworker told you. Angela bit her lip. Okay, yes. But I only know you needed help finding a meaningful gift. That's all I need to know. Something in his expression shifted, surprise or something deeper. 1 dinner. 2 hours. I'll have you home by 10. You'll be safe. He placed a business card on the counter, black with silver lettering, just a name and number. Text me yes or no. Before she could respond, his phone rang. He answered in rapid Korean, his entire demeanor changing. She caught words: warehouse, payment, problem. When he hung up, he looked at her once more. I hope you say yes, Angela from Chicago. Then he was gone, leaving her holding a card that felt heavier than it should. You're not actually considering this. Mei Lin, Angela's roommate and best friend, stared at her in horror. It's just dinner. With a mob boss, Angela. A literal Korean mob boss. Mei Lin pulled up articles on her phone. Park Lee, 32, took over at 25. They call him the ghost because people who cross him disappear. Angela's stomach twisted. He was buying a gift for his sister, who was kidnapped 2 years ago. He burned down 3 buildings and put 14 men in the hospital getting her back. This man is dangerous. Everyone deserves kindness, May. Not everyone is a walking red flag covered in Yakuza tattoos. But Angela couldn't shake the memory of how his voice had softened talking about his sister, how he'd thanked her for treating him like a person. Against every logical impulse, she picked up her phone. Yes. 1 dinner. But I'd choose the restaurant. His response came immediately. Deal. Tomorrow. 7 p.m. Send me the address. Mei Lin groaned. This is how horror movies start. What Angela didn't know was that Park Lee stared at her text for 5 minutes, something unfamiliar blooming in his chest. Hope. Angela changed outfits 6 times before settling on the blue wrap dress. If you're going to have dinner with Korea's most dangerous man, at least look amazing doing it, Mei Lin said, resigned to her fate as accomplice. When Angela reached the lobby, Park Lee stood beside a sleek Genesis G90, and her breath caught. Dark slacks, black button-down with sleeves rolled up, revealing full tattoos on his forearms, intricate tigers, Korean characters, cherry blossoms winding to his elbows. He looked like every warning her mother had given her. He looked devastating. You look beautiful, he said, opening the door himself. Where are we going? He asked as she settled into the leather seat. Gwangjang Market. The street food market. His eyebrows rose. Not some place with no prices? You said thank you dinner. I'm choosing somewhere I like. She smiled at his surprise. For tonight, you're just Lee, and I'm just Angela. Deal? Deal. Gwangjang Market was controlled chaos. Vendors shouting, bindyadik sizzling, the smell of makgeolli and spices. Angela watched Park Lee's face as he realized she'd deliberately chosen the most unexclusive place in Seoul. You can't run a criminal empire from a plastic stool, she said cheerfully. For 2 hours, you're just a guy eating pancakes. Okay. Genuine laughter escaped him. Okay. They sat shoulder to shoulder at a cramped table. The Ajumma running the stall did a double take at his tattoos, but Angela's smile eased the tension. Try this, Angela said, tearing off a piece of bindyadik and holding it out. You're not afraid of me at all, are you? Should I be? Most people are. Most people didn't watch you agonize over jewelry symbolism. She wiggled the pancake. Come on, it's getting cold. He took the bite directly from her fingers, his lips brushing her skin. Perfect. They talked as they ate. Angela told him about Chicago, about teaching English, about falling in love with Seoul's chaos. And Park Lee listened like every word mattered. Your turn, Angela said. Tell me about Lee. Not Park Lee the businessman. Just Lee. His jaw tightened. There is no just Lee. Try anyway. He was quiet, watching the crowd. I wanted to be a chef. My grandmother raised me and my sister after our parents died. She taught me to make kimchi, jjigae, traditional dishes. I thought maybe I'd open a restaurant. His smile was bitter. Then my uncle came back, told us we had family obligations, and choices became limited. Your sister, the one you bought the bracelet for? Yuna. 23. Studying art. I built this empire to protect her, to make sure she never has to live the life I live. That's why you picked the cherry blossom. For her. And maybe for me too. Angela reached across and touched his scarred hand. Everyone deserves new beginnings, Lee. Even monsters? You're not a monster. You're a man who made impossible choices. But you don't have to be defined by them forever. Park Lee stared at their joined hands like he'd never seen anything more remarkable. He drove her home too fast and too slow. The car filled with tension that made every breath significant. Thank you for tonight, Park Lee said outside her building. For treating me like a person. Should I be afraid?
Yes.
Because I want to see you again. And everyone who gets close to me ends up hurt. That sounds like a decision I should make for myself. You don't know. I'm 26, I moved to a country where I barely spoke the language, and I eat street food that doesn't follow health codes. I'm comfortable with risk. He laughed. You're insane. But I'd like to see you again, too. His hand caught her wrist, gentle but firm. One more thing. When I want something, I don't give up easily. And I want to know you. Really know you. So, if you're not sure. I'm sure, Angela whispered. The kiss happened between heartbeats, his hand cupping her face, her fingers curling into his shirt. Gentle and desperate, tasting of macchiali and possibility. I'll call you tomorrow, he asked, like he was afraid she'd disappear. You better. What she didn't hear was his phone call after. Double her security. Anyone who looks at her wrong answers to me. What she didn't know was that she'd just become the most important person in Seoul's underworld. 3 weeks later, Angela was falling in love, and it terrified her. Coffee dates before her shifts. Lunches at tiny restaurants. Late dinners along the Han River. Texts that made her smile. And slowly, dangerously, falling for a man who was both gentle and brutal in equal measure. You're glowing, Soyeon observed. Please tell me this is about that man bringing you coffee every morning. Before Angela could answer, her phone buzzed. Lee. Emergency at work. Can you pick up Yuna from school? I'll explain later. An address in Gangnam followed. Angela, of course. Is everything okay? Lee, will be.
Thank you.
25 minutes later, Angela stood outside Yua Women's University, spotting a young woman who had to be Yuna. Delicate features, long dark hair, Park Lee's intense eyes. Yuna? I'm Angela. Your brother sent me. Where is he? Panic flashed across her face. He never misses. Is he?
He's fine.
Just a work emergency. Yuna studied her. You're the American. The one who helped with my bracelet.
He talks about you.
They took a taxi to Park Lee's Gangnam penthouse. The apartment was a fortress disguised as luxury, minimalist perfection with photos everywhere of the siblings at various ages. When Park Lee arrived, he looked exhausted, disheveled. Something dark on his sleeve that might be blood. Yuna. His voice cracked as his sister ran to him. After Yuna disappeared to her room, Angela closed the distance. Are you okay? I am now. He pulled her close, buried his face in her hair. Thank you for getting her. What happened? She watched him war with himself, secrets versus honesty. There was a problem. A rival tried to move drugs into my territory, near Yuna's campus. His voice was controlled. I had to make it clear that wouldn't be tolerated. Did you hurt people?
Yes.
Kill anyone?
No.
Not today. He met her eyes. But I wanted to. These people were targeting schools, universities, trying to set up near Yuna. But you didn't kill them. You found another way. I put 3 people in the hospital. That's not finding another way. It's trying. That's all I asked. He looked at her with something cracking in his expression. I need someone to tell me I'm not a monster. You're not leaving, Angela said firmly. You protected your sister from drug dealers. That's being a brother. He kissed her then, desperate and grateful and exhausted. What Angela didn't know was that outside, men were taking photos, documenting, building files. What she didn't know was that every moment in his world meant she was being watched, assessed, targeted. But she knew she'd crossed a line. That she was no longer just dating him. She was part of his life in a way that couldn't be untangled. And despite everything, Angela didn't want to untangle herself.
She wanted to stay.
The truth came at midnight on Thursday. Angela had been avoiding Park Lee's calls for 2 days, trying to process what she was doing, who she was dating. Then Mei Lin burst in at 11:47 p.m., face pale. "Angela, you need to see this." The news showed a building burning in Gangnam. Police, ambulances, and Park Lee caught in the frame, surrounded by men in suits, face cold as stone. The reporters spoke rapidly. Mei Lin translated. Gang-related fire. 3 dead. Connected to territory disputes. Park Lee seen at location but not detained. Angela's phone buzzed. "Lee, I know you're watching. I can explain."
Please.
"Angela, 3 people are dead." "Lee, 3 people who tried to bomb my sister's university. Who threatened her. Who made it clear anyone I care about is a target. Anyone I care about." Which meant her. "Lee, I'm outside. Please come down." "Angela, what if someone followed you?" "Lee, no one followed me. And if they did, they're already dead." Angela grabbed her coat. Park Lee leaned against his car in the parking garage, barely recognizable. Shirt streaked with blood. Knuckles split. Tattoos seeming darker, more sinister. But his eyes, desperate and raw, were the same. 3 people are dead," she said flatly. 3 people who are going to kill my sister tomorrow. Who sent her a letter describing how they'd hurt her. Who planted bombs near her studio. His voice was emotionless.
Yes.
3 people are dead. And I'd kill 30 more to keep her safe. Lee. I spent 6 hours hunting them. They laughed when I showed them Yuna's picture. Said she'd be perfect for their boss. His voice broke. So I made sure they could never hurt her. Or you. The parking garage fell silent. "That's what terrifies me," Angela whispered. "Not that you're capable of violence, but that you do it so easily." It became normal the day my parents were murdered in front of me when I was 12. It became normal when my uncle forced me into this life. His voice exploded. "You think I want this? I'd give anything to be the man who deserves you. But I gave up normal at 12. Then why don't you leave?" "Because the moment I try, everyone I love becomes a target." He was shaking now. "Don't you understand? I have 12 men watching you at all times. 3 days after our first dinner, a rival tried to run you off the road." "What?" "That black car on 81RO wasn't an accident. My driver intervened." His voice broke. "They've already figured out you matter. That makes you a target whether I let you go or not." Angela sank against a pillar. "I can't. I know. That's why you should leave Seoul. Go anywhere but here. I'll protect you from a distance, but we can't see each other." "Is that what you want?" "I want normal. I want to wake up next to you without worrying someone will bomb your apartment. But I don't get that." "What if I don't want normal?" She pushed off the pillar. "What if I want you, even knowing what you are?" "You don't know what you're saying. I know about the bodies. The territory wars. The warehouse fires. I know you're called the ghost. I know every terrible thing you are." She grabbed his jacket. "And I'm still here. Tell me right now, do you love me?" The question stopped him cold. "Yes," he finally whispered. "God help me, yes." "Then promise me you'll find a way out. Not today, but someday." "That's not a promise I know if I can keep." "Then try. For Yuna. For yourself." She stepped closer. "For me. And if I can't, then we figure it out together." Park Lee's control shattered. He pulled her against him, burying his face in her hair. "I'll try. I swear I'll try." They held each other, 2 people from different worlds who'd somehow found each other. What neither knew was that in a van above, someone was taking pictures. The choice had been made. The consequences would follow. The somewhere safe was a traditional hanok in Bukshan, a beautiful Korean house hidden behind high walls and sophisticated security. "My grandmother's house," Park Lee explained. "The only place I feel clean." Inside, Yuna was brewing tea. She looked up when they entered. "You stayed," Yuna said. I told you to leave. I know. And you stayed anyway. I did. Yuna smiled, small but genuine. Good. He needs someone brave enough to choose him. After Yuna left, they sat around a low table as Park Lee destroyed every remaining illusion. My father was a foot soldier. When his organization fell, my uncle came back from Japan to claim territory. His voice was controlled, eyes fixed on his tea. My parents were killed in the crossfire. I was 12. Yuna was 10. You were 12 years old. Old enough to be useful. My uncle told us we had family obligations. Sent Yuna to our grandmother. Gave me 3 years to prove I was valuable.
His jaw tightened.
I was 14 the first time I broke someone's arm. 15 when I had to choose between taking over Gangnam or watching him sell Yuna to a Yakuza boss. Angela felt sick. He threatened to sell her? He did sell her. Made the deal. Gave me 3 days to prove I could run operations more profitably. His voice cracked. If I succeeded, he'd call it off. If I failed, Yuna would disappear into Japan. So you succeeded. So I became a monster to save my sister. And I was good at it. Natural. And your uncle? Retired to Osaka on money I send quarterly. The hatred was palpable. He calls sometimes. Says he's proud. Angela took his hand. You don't owe him anything. What exactly do you do now? She forced herself to ask. We control underground nightclubs. Protection services. Businesses pay us for security the police can't provide. Import-export of gray market goods. Money laundering. Drugs?
Never.
My parents died from a drug deal. I won't touch it. Human trafficking? Never. His voice turned sharp. Anyone caught trafficking is dealt with permanently. It's the line I won't cross. So there are lines. There are lines. But I've crossed plenty of others. Hospitalized people. Burned buildings. Made people disappear. The men tonight are dead. I killed 2 myself. His eyes were steady. And I'd do it again. I will always choose Yuna's safety over morality. Always. Same with you. Even if it means becoming a monster? I've been a monster since I was 15. The question is whether you can love a monster. Angela stood, and Park Lee's face showed fear that she was leaving. Instead, she sat beside him, close enough that their knees touched. I need you to promise you're working toward an exit. I don't care if it takes years. But this can't be forever. I've been moving assets for 3 years. Legitimate businesses. Real estate. The nightclubs could be legal with proper licensing. Security could become a real company. So it's possible? It would take years. 5 to 10, maybe. And it would be dangerous. But you're trying? I've been trying since I took over. For Yuna's future. He paused. And for a future where maybe I could be normal. Angela leaned her head on his shoulder. How long? 5 years if perfect. 7 or 8 realistically.
Okay.
I can wait. As long as you're trying. She cupped his face. But promise you'll keep me in a loop. No more secrets. He searched her face. That goes against every instinct. I know. But I need it. I need to trust you'll be honest. He nodded slowly.
Okay.
No more secrets. Park Lee pulled her close. I don't deserve you. You're stuck with me anyway. The weight of the choice settled around them. What happens now? Angela asked. Now I tell my organization you're under my protection. You'll have visible security. People will know you're connected to me. How does that make me safer and more vulnerable? Safer because no one will touch you without answering to me. More vulnerable because my enemies might see you as leverage. His expression darkened. But I'll make it clear. Anyone who looks at you wrong dies. He stood, pulling her up. There's a room here for you. This house is the safest place in Seoul. You want me to move in? I want you protected. And close. He hesitated. Is that selfish? Completely. But I want that too. I'll have security for May too. Anyone close to you is vulnerable. If this gets May killed, if anything happens to May, I'll never forgive myself. I protect what's mine. And you're mine now. The possessiveness felt like safety. Angela made peace with her choice. She was choosing danger, uncertainty, a man who killed to protect those he loved, but also someone who looked at her like salvation, who was building a legitimate future, who was trying to be better. I love you, she said for the first time. Park Lee's face transformed. Say it again. I love you, Lee. Not the ghost. Just you. The man who wanted to be a chef. Who's trying to be better. I love you too, he whispered. And I promise, I'll spend my life trying to deserve you. Sometimes the most dangerous choice is also the only one worth making. 6 months later. You're burning the kimchi jjigae again. Angela laughed as Yuna's voice carried from the kitchen. She'd moved in 3 months ago, and her Korean cooking was still a work in progress. Appa loves you, so he'll eat anything, Yuna said, appearing with a grin. Your brother has no complaints. My brother's a liar. Strong arms wrapped around Angela from behind, and she melted into Park Lee's embrace. I heard my name being slandered, he murmured. Yuna says you're lying about my cooking. I would never. He reached around to turn down the heat. Though maybe less fire? I'm going to the library, Yuna announced, where people don't make out in kitchens. After she left, Angela studied Park Lee's face. He looked lighter. The shadows were gone. He smiled more. How was the meeting with the lawyers? Good. The nightclub paperwork is almost done. Fully legal within 2 months. Security company is operational. 3 proposals being reviewed. And the other stuff? Being phased out. There's still some work, but I've been clear. Drugs, trafficking, extreme violence gets shut down immediately. How are others taking it? He hesitated. Truthfully, there was an attempt last month. Someone thought I was weak. They tried to hit a warehouse. His voice went flat. They were wrong. Are they? Hospital. Not dead. Broken bones, but alive. He met her eyes. I'm trying to find other ways. Angela kissed him softly. That's all I ask. I have something to tell you, she said, heart racing. Park Lee pulled back, reading her expression. Should I be worried? My visa expires in 3 months. She watched panic flash across his face. You're leaving? That depends. Angela pulled a small box from her pocket, jewelry, commitment, meaning. On whether you want me to stay. Park Lee stared at the box, speechless. I know we're doing this backwards, but I know you'd never ask me to stay because of guilt. She opened it, revealing a silver band engraved with Korean characters. So I'm asking, Park Lee, will you marry me? He laughed, real, genuine laughter. You're insane. Is that a yes? That's a you're incredible and I don't deserve you, but yes anyway. He kissed her deeply. Yes. Always yes. She slipped the ring on his finger. There's more. I've been offered a position at Korea University. Full-time with proper visa. She watched hope bloom in his expression. I'm staying. You're staying. His voice cracked. With you. Building a life here. I love you so much. She pulled out her phone, showing him a restaurant listing. May's friend's family owns a place in Hongdae. Traditional Korean food. They're retiring and looking to sell. He stared at the listing. I don't understand. You wanted to be a chef. What if you could do both? Transition the business and build the dream you gave up? I can't just. Why not? You have the money. You're getting the time. And you have someone who believes you'd be amazing. She squeezed his hands. Let yourself dream again. For a long moment, silence. Then, my grandmother's recipes. I still have them. Then use them. Honor her memory. Park Lee pulled her close, shoulders shaking with tears that spoke of 17 years of buried dreams. I love you so much. 3 months later, Angela stood in Halmiani's, the restaurant Park Lee had renovated, named after his grandmother. The soft opening was intimate. Yuna, May, trusted people transitioning to legitimate work, market vendors who'd shown Lee kindness. She watched him move through the kitchen with confidence. His tattoos were visible, he'd stopped hiding them. Dragons and tigers and cherry blossoms. history written on skin but not defining him. He looks happy, Yuna said beside her. I haven't seen him like this since before our parents died. He's trying. He's succeeding. Thank you for seeing who he could be. The evening passed in joy. Park Lee's cooking was extraordinary, traditional recipes elevated with love and skill. As they cleaned up, Angela said, "This was perfect."
It was terrifying.
I kept waiting for someone to remind me I'm not a real chef. You're a chef, a businessman, a brother, the man I'm marrying in 2 months. You're all of those things. He pulled her close. How did I get so lucky? You needed help with the bracelet. Best customer service ever. They locked up together. As they drove through Seoul's glittering streets, Park Lee said, I got a call from my uncle. Angela tensed. To congratulate me. On the restaurant, the engagement. Said he's proud. That going legitimate was always the goal. How do you feel? Confused. He destroyed my childhood to make me strong enough for this. And now he acts like it was all planned. Was it necessary? I don't know. Maybe I'd have found another way. Or maybe I'd be dead. I'll never know. But you're taking that path and making it yours. You're not who he tried to create. You're someone better. Is that enough? It's everything. They pulled into the hammock, their home, their sanctuary. Angela thought about their journey. A chance encounter. A cherry blossom bracelet. Choosing to see the human beneath the monster.
Thank you, Park Lee said.
For choosing me. For staying. For believing I could be more. Thank you for letting me. For being brave enough to try. She kissed him. And for learning to make jjigae properly. He laughed, and the sound filled their home. Outside, Seoul continued spinning. Inside, two people who shouldn't work were building something beautiful from broken pieces. I love our life, Angela said softly. So do I, Park Lee replied. So do I. In their traditional house, surrounded by promises of new beginnings, a wedding, a restaurant, a future becoming legitimate, they held each other and believed that maybe, just maybe, love could be enough. Not love that ignored darkness, but love that chose light anyway. Not easy love, but real love. Not perfect love, but present love. The kind worth fighting for. The kind worth choosing, even when choosing meant walking into danger. And Angela Morrison, who'd left Chicago for adventure, smiled and knew she'd made the right choice. Sometimes the most dangerous thing you can do is fall in love. But sometimes it's also the most necessary. Okay, confession time. I spent days writing this story, and I need to know, did Park Lee and Angela's ending feel earned? Or did it feel too easy? Drop a comment if you loved it. Hit subscribe if you want more stories that make you feel everything. And tell me in the comments, what kind of story do you want next? More Mafia romance? Forbidden love? Enemies to lovers? Your comments literally shape what I create next, so don't hold back. See you in the next one.